are going over PBNs. Yes, it is PBN night tonight. And I'm wondering, how many people out there even know what a PBN is? And do you have one? If you don't know what is, and this is new to you, put a 2 in the chat box. And if you already have one and you know what this is, put a 3 in the chat box, just so we can get an idea of what the crowd is. I'm seeing a lot of 2s, 3. Oh my God, a lot of 2s though. Okay, so PBNs stand for either private or personal blog networks. And how this came about, actually they used to stand for public blog networks too. And what this does is, when we were back in the days, we were creating mini-nets. This is about in 2003, 2004. And we were, creating sites or creating properties that would link to the site that we wanted to rank. And that worked like magic. And we did these things called, link wheels. And we linked all the sites together, and then we linked it to the money site. And it was just incredibly, it just worked really, really well. And then in 2007, I opened up my first public blog network, and that I leased it out to other people. And those people were able to sign in, use the sites that I had built, and point them to their. And that worked like gangbusters until 2012. Now, in 2010, I was one of the first people to actually teach how to create PBNs. I had people out at my ranch. They paid $2,500 a piece to learn what you guys are learning tonight for free. That's how one, how incredibly powerful this is, and two, 5 years from now, what used to pay a lot of money for it, we are giving away because I don't know why, because everybody is doing it. It's one of those things that has become more common than things that are, more. It's not a secret anymore. People are doing it right. You get a lot of great results. And so, and I'm sure, Derek is going to go into this in detail and, why they work. And stuff, but it is a concentration of sites that you're pointing to your main site to rank it. And I'm sure he's going to go into, and we'll both talk about, optimization penalties that have come along in 2012, and that's why, just the quantity of links stopped working, and now it's about quality of links, and most importantly, it's about the anchor text that link says. So with that, I'm going to let Derek introduce himself and get going on this presentation. I'm really, really excited to see. So, Derek, why don't you just take it along? Take it away.
Thank you so much. Hey, guys, what's going on? Can you guys hear me okay? Let me know in the chat box if you hear a very southern accent. What's going on, Willis? Sweet, sweet. Okay. Cool. All right. So, tell you guys a little bit about me, just a little brief introduction. Not going to go into it too much. Started with SEO and kind of how I got started with private blog networks. Several years ago, 2006, 2007, I found myself $100,000 in credit card debt. Actually, it was over $100,000 in credit card debt. I was facing 3 years of audits with the IRS. I was in a lot of trouble. It was unbelievable, right? And so basically SEO was what pulled me out of that. So what I started noticing was that I was able to rank for launches primarily, and that's what I really got started in was doing launch jacking. Although at the time it wasn't really called launch jacking, it was just I was just finding these products and just being able to rank for them over and over again. And so what ended up happening was I was noticing after the launches, the sites were just sitting there doing nothing, and I'd built 3 to 5 sites. And I was trying to rank all of them. I was trying to take up multiple spots on the first page of Google. And one day I got to thinking about it. I thought, you know what? Why not, instead of just letting these just die off, why don't I just use those properties to link to the other stuff that I'm doing? And that's really where I got started. Having my little mini PBN at the time. Every launch that would come on, I would buy 3 to 5 sites. I would rank them. I would use very aggressive linking techniques, and I would rank them. I would rank videos. I would rank Web 2.0 sites, and then I would turn around, and once that launch was over, then I would use those same properties to link to other stuff. Does that make sense to everyone? Let me know in the chat box. Give me a number 1 if that makes sense. Cool, cool, cool. So Dori asked earlier, you know, how many of you guys were familiar with private blog networks, and how many? Some of you are this is brand new to you. Some of you have got some that's already built. So just kind of reiterate what she was saying. PBN, short for private blog network or personal blog network. This is simply just sites that we own or that we control to increase our search rankings. That's basically it in a nutshell. It's sites that we just own or that we can control. And what we're doing is we're linking to effort to boost the money site in order to boost it in the search results. So with that being said, we have got a mind map, and I'll give you guys a copy of this too once we are done. I'll give it to Dori so she can put it in the members area as like a PDF. Let me just go this real quick. This is Jerry asked a good question here. Says, yes, but don't you want to use the same? Stick with us, because that's one of the things that we're going to talk about, is exactly how you can do that. Okay, I'll show you exactly what you can do to keep everything relevant and how to create relevancy when really there appears to be none on the outside. Okay, so first of all, let's talk about what we're looking at and where we are looking. Can everybody see my screen? You should see a mind map here. Cool. And I am sipping on some Death Wish coffee. So if you guys are wondering if you hear me sipping on something. So okay, so there's a couple of options here on where you can actually find these. So if you think about domains in the same respect as you do like a house, let's say if somebody quits paying on their house, what tends to happen? The bank's going to come in and they're going to basically take the house back. Something similar happens with domains. Somebody registers for the domain, they've got access to it for a year. After the year is up, at that point, if they don't renew it, then it's going to go into an auction process. So there's a couple of places that we can find these and we can look at these, and literally there's thousands upon thousands of these domains going off every single day. The first one is expireddomains.net. Some of you guys are probably familiar with that. Let me just kind of show you this real quick. Expireddomains.net is right here. This is a free service that you can use to do some searches. And when I first got started, this was one of the services that I used. There wasn't all these different options. It's like what Dori was saying. You know, years and years ago, we didn't have all the tools. We didn't have all the services that are out there now. This is one of the ones that I first started using when I started doing research for these domains. The other is called Register Compass, and it's the one that I use just about every day. And basically, in a nutshell, the reason why I like it, it's a paid membership. The reason why I like it is I can filter everything, I can sort everything in such a way to where I can go through the domains really, really fast. Okay, how many of you guys on the call have got or are using one of these services already? Gotcha. Okay, most knows here, most knows. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of show you here in just a moment. I'm going to show you really what we're looking for. In a nutshell, how many of you guys are familiar with PageRank? Do you know what PageRank is? Okay, most people here know what PageRank is. PageRank was what we used to gauge when we were buying age domains. We obviously wanted something that had higher PageRank, but Google's not updated the PageRank metric since December of 2013, and they said that they're not going to update it in the future. Now, whether that happens, that remains to be seen. So you still have a lot of people that are bidding just based on the PageRank metric, right? You still have them bidding on and just looking at just PageRank. And that's a mistake because it's not been updated since December of 2013. So what you want to do is you got to know what you're looking for here. So some of the other metrics that's out there that's available. Let me just go through this real quick. Some of the other metrics that we're looking at. Number one is we want to take a look at the trust flow. That's a number put out by Majestic. We want to look at the domain authority. That's a number put out by Moz, as well as page authority, and that's both of those numbers are put out by Moz. So you're going to hear us talk a lot when we're looking at these domains here in just a moment. We're going to be talking about domain authority. We're going to be talking about page authority. We'll be talking about trust flow. But just realize that PageRank is dead. You just don't want to put all of your emphasis on PageRank. So let me go back here to the screen. So one thing that I like about Register Compass too, like I was saying, is you can set out templates based on what you're looking for. So I'll just kind of go through and show you what it is that I look at. So when you go to the dashboard, this is what you're going to come to right here. Okay. Now you can go in and do a domain search if you've got your keyword or your niche or something like that by doing the domain search. I never do that though. I really don't care what niche, I don't care what market it's in, as long as it's not pornography and as long as it's not gambling. That's primarily the main two things that I stay away from. Again, those are just my personal preferences. So if we go right here, this is where I go to look most of the time. So if we go to auction domains, I'm going to show you what I do. So we go to Google PageRank, and this is where I start from. And Dori, feel free to chime in anytime. You may do things a little differently than I do. I know there's more than one way to skin a cat on these things, and so feel free to chime in whenever.
Okay, I'll chime in sometimes. I did have myself muted, so I had to unmute myself.
That's
and
cool.
For people who have seen my presentations, I use FreshDrop, which is just the same thing as Register Compass. It's just another tool, brings in the same type of information. It's just another tool that I use. So anyway, yeah, go ahead.
Cool. All right, so what we're looking at here is this is what this has done is this has filtered everything above a page rank of 4. Okay, so this is what most people are doing when they're going into the bidding process, is they're doing the same exact thing, right? Well, if page rank is dead, then you're going to have a lot of people that are just bidding stupidly, right? They're just going to be going in there and just bidding it up and things like that. What you can find is if you know what you're looking at, you can go in and find stuff that's under the radar, that's under this page rank of 4, right? You can find stuff that's good quality domains. It's a PR1, PR2, PR3, right? Some don't even have PR. So what I do is once we go to this page, I'll scroll all the way over here, and I'll go right here where it says Google Index, and you can just click this right here. And this is the first thing that I want to do. I want to filter out all the sites that have at least got one page indexed in Google. So I'll just click Add and Apply, and this will run its course. And again, you can set up these templates where it will do all this for you, but I wanted to just really demonstrate exactly what it was. So you saw where we had like 2,000 or 3,000 domains or something like that. Now we're down to 674. Okay, a lot more manageable, but we still want to get it down a little bit further. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we can filter this out by age. I tend to use anything that's older than 2011. Okay, so that's what I look at. And again, you'll just want to just play around with the numbers. I know if it's an age site, then the chances are better that it's a good quality site with good quality links. So 11 in here, I'm going to click Add and Apply. And then this is going to filter out any domains that are older than 2011. So you'll see now we've filtered this down to 423. So like if we look right here at this domain age, you'll see 2008, 2002, 2001, 2006. Does everybody see that? Just give me a yes in the chat box. Cool. All right. So here's a couple of things that we want to look at here. Number one, we want to pay attention to the domain authority, which is this number right here. We can filter this out. But the first thing that I look at and what I like to sort by is trust flow. So what I like to see is anything above a 10 on trust flow. That's just my personal preference. So I'm going to filter that out. And I found that trust flow is a number from Majestic, and I just found it to be a little bit better of a metric than anything else that's out there. If you look at Moz's domain authority and page authority, all those metrics can really be spammed. And I just find that if I focus mostly on the trust flow number, with the domains that I'm looking at. Dori, would you agree with that?
Sorry, I muted myself. Yeah, I would absolutely agree with that. I only sort for trust flow. I don't care about anything else. Although I do care that it's indexed, so I like to see that you had it set, looking for something that's indexed already. Typically, if they're coming in the auctions, you want them to be in the index. Otherwise, they may not be in. Buying something that is not in the auctions. Like a lot of people are selling these services that go out and find domains that are being linked to from high authority sites, but they're expired and nobody picked them up through the auctions. If they're not indexed, that's okay because they haven't been up for a while, and they typically come back. But it's really important when you're searching in the auctions, like within Register Compass or Fresh Drop, that they are indexed. So that was great.
Cool. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go over, and I just clicked this little down icon so we can sort by the trust flow. So the higher the trust flow, the number will show, and it will go descending from here. So then what we're going to do is we're just going to look at these, and what I like to do too is I filter out the auctions. I want anything outside of offer. I never look at the offer domains, because what these are people that are just they bought a domain and then they stuck it out there and they said, okay, make me an offer. Okay, I've never got a good deal off of those. So I found that those tend to be a waste of time. So I'll just take those out of my search, and then we're going to this will filter this out a little bit more. So once we get this down, it'll be a little bit more manageable. So now we got 154 domains. Okay, so you'll see right here, this is GoDaddy. This will tell you like the registrar. So you're going to see GoDaddy, Snap, and Namecheap, or Namejet. Those are the three that you're going to see in this column for the most part. Okay, so what we're going to be looking at is we're just going to be trying to find domains that have got a good backlink profile. So when I say a good backlink profile, like, yeah, we're looking at trust flow and we're looking at the trust flow numbers, but the backlinks have got to justify that trust flow. And in the old days, the backlinks had to justify the page rank. So what am I talking about? I'm meaning like something that I can find that's already got links built to it that I can't just go out and build myself. Okay, so what are some examples of some sites? Do you guys have any idea of sites that you can get that you just can't go out and just get links from? I want to hear some feedback here in the chat box. Huffington Post, EDUs, authority sites. Yeah, so like WebMD, Wikipedia, Forbes. These are sites that you just can't easily go out and build. These are either guest post links, or there's a credit from a Wikipedia article. These are the type of links that we're looking for. Okay, and it doesn't have to be a massive amount of links, but the main thing that you want to look for is just make sure that those have got quality links that's pointed to them that will easily justify your trust flow. Because what this all boils down to is you're just trying to get link juice, right? You're trying to get link juice, and the better the links that it's got linked to it, the easier it's going to be for you to be able to rank for your stuff. So do we have any questions real quick? I'm an interactive kind of guy, and so I like to hear any kind of questions that you guys may have while we're going along, and I'll do my best to answer them. So just type in the chat box if you've got any questions at all. Why again don't you want older domains? I'm looking at domains that are at least 2011 or older. Okay, so I'm getting older domains. Good question, Nathan. Are we looking for domains that are expiring or expired? You can do both. So right now, what we're looking at is ones that are going to auction. These are domains that are expiring. They're going to go to auction. If we pick them up at the auction and we're able to successfully win the auction, then the age is just going to transfer over to us. So if we find something that's a 2010 site and we pick it up through the auction process, then the age is just going to transfer over to us as the new owner. Does that make sense? Cool, cool. The main topic, category matter. We're going to get into that, Lynn. I'm going to show you how you can structure this in such a way so it doesn't necessarily matter if you find anything that is relevant to your money site. I personally believe that it doesn't matter. I retheme stuff all the time, but we're going to get into that. We're going to get into multiple ways of being able to rebuild the sites back. So there's some conservative ways and there's some more aggressive ways. We'll go over all of those depending on how you want to go about it. So what we're doing here, so far all we've done is we've looked at sites that are PR4. So since the PR metric doesn't really, like I said, a dead metric, what I want to do is I want to change this, okay? So this is just whenever we go into Register Compass and we click right here and we click on this Google PageRank, it automatically does that unless you've got a template set up. So what I'll do is I'll go right here and I'll just sort it by anything that's PR2 or above.
I got a good question that just came in. Don't put any stock in PR. Why are you filtering with it?
So why am I filtering with PR?
Yeah, that's what a question came in.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking like right now. I'm just looking at different options that we've got. I'm gonna go all the way down to like no PR. Like this is just the way that I do it. And I'm not saying this is the only way to do it, but this is just the way that I do it. So I like to start out with the higher PR4s and above, and look and see what's there. And then I'm going to make my bids, and then I'm going to drop it down. I'm going to keep going lower to where I'm not even looking at PR,
Right, and I would say too, like in FreshDrop, the tool that I use doesn't show Majestic Trust. Now, I don't know if you said does this tool show trust?
It does show the trust flow. Yes.
It does show the trust flow. Okay, because I would always sort by PR too, because at one time they were a PR. Now PR is kind of frozen. Google hasn't updated it in over a year. So at one time they were very significant, a significant domain. And so, it's kind of cool to look to sort through that to see if they still are a significant domain. So it kind of like you're looking at the cream of the crop on top at first, but don't put everything in your PR bucket. So that's why he's sorting. That's my 2 cents anyway, why you're sorting for, and then why I sort for PR as well in my tool.
Yeah, and so like if you know that it was a PR4, from that it's an old domain, it's like it's got some trust there. If they ranked it a PR4 or rated it a PR4, years ago, then that it's more than likely it's got some good quality stuff going to it. So I totally agree with that. So what we're going to do is we're just going to keep backing down. We're going to keep backing down into, and this is where you're going to find really the sort of the sweet spot. These are where if you push this right here to where you're looking at only PR1s or PR2s or PR3s, this is where you can really find some deals, because people typically are just sorting by PR4 and above. They're only looking for the higher PRs. This is where you can find some stuff that's really flying under the radar that may have a PR2 or maybe have a PR1 or a PR0, but in all reality, it's just because Google hasn't updated the PageRank in so long. So that's what we're looking at here. So like what we will do is we'll just sort these by this, and now we'll start going through and looking at even more domains. So you can see like there's a ton of domains. There's enough domains to go around for literally everybody. So I saw that question come in the chat box earlier on, like, if this is, why, the question about, is there enough for everybody or whatever. So you can see like we've got like an abundance of domains that's out here ready for everybody to take. So does that help answer your question? Let's see here. I guess it was Dan or Jerry.
Yeah, I've been going through and answering questions too, so they may not, they may disappear after I answer them.
Cool. All right, so let's go back here to the grand old mind map here. So again, what we want to do is everything's got to be justified by the backlink profile. So the tool that I use and the service that I use is Ahrefs. I know there's some different things out there. There's Open Site Explorer and there's the Majestic tool, but I like Ahrefs. To me, it reports more links. I found that it reports more links. So like, let's just take a look at a few of these, and we'll just kind of walk through the whole process of seeing some actually filter back out to PR4 and above, just so we'll have a few less to look at. All right, so what we've got here, let's just look at, and let's filter this out to where you got the auction expire. Let's look at the next 24 hours. So you'll see this knocks this down significantly. Okay, so we've got this Namejet, which is a which is a little bit different than the way GoDaddy works. Okay, I want to touch on this real quick, and then we'll start looking at some of those. A pre-release that you're going to see in with Namejet is basically when it's out and you can actually make a bid for $69 is what the bids typically start at. So anybody that goes in, bids on that domain, then at the end of the auction, they're going to hold a private auction among all the people that made the initial bid. So if you've got 10 people that bid the $69 or committed to the $69, then what you're going to have is you're going to have a private auction among those 10 people. Okay, and so then you're going to be bidding against the 10 people, and whoever bids the most at that point is going to win the auction. Okay, so that's how Namejet works. And these these pre-releases that you see work. Most of the stuff that I buy happens to come from GoDaddy though. So let's just look at a couple of these real quick. So you'll see this one right here showing a PR5. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab this URL. I'm going to copy it, and then I'm going to go over to Ahrefs. Okay, and I'm going to click search. And what we're looking at here, you'll see that there's a total of 382 backlinks, okay? So what we want to do is we want to go down here. First of all, the first thing that I do is I look at the anchors, okay? So I want to click on here, and what I'm looking for is I want to just make sure that the links that are going to the site are not pornography links and they're not pharmaceutical spam. Okay, so you'll see, like, when you start doing some research on some of these, you'll see some of them have spam links like buy Viagra or buy Cialis or something along those lines, or maybe it's a pornography link. I don't even want those. I stay away from those. I know some people that actually that are buying those, but I just personally, for me, I just don't even deal with it. So if we're looking at this, you'll see these backlinks look like they're primarily brandable type links. Empower me to be.org, empower me, right? These look like decent clean anchor text, okay? So what we're going to do here is we're going to go down to the referring domains. We want to see what the domains are that's actually linking to the site, okay? Now remember, the backlinks have got to justify the authority of the site. So what we're going to do is we're going to sort this by the highest domain rank in Ahrefs, and you'll see right here there's some .govs, Washington Post, USDA, PR Newswire, Examiner. These are good quality links. This is what I'm talking about. This is the stuff that you just can't go out and just build on your own overnight. This is not what you just can't set this up into an article submission software or something like that and go out and blast these links, right? So this would be a good quality, high authoritative domain that you could act. Even though we filter out for the sites that are just indexed, I still like to go over to Google and just make sure that the thing is indexed. And the way you do that is site : and then you paste the URL. So in this case, it would be empowermetobe.org. You'd hit enter, and you'll see that Google is showing 17 results, okay? Now, here's something else that I want to touch on, and this is something that that not many people really don't do this, okay? You'll see this has got 17 results. Most people only look at the root or the home page. That's all that they look at, okay? They only look at that, and they make their determination based on that. However, you're looking at, this has got 17 pages of URLs that are already indexed in Google, okay? And all of these, some of these could have PageRank, some of these could have authority to them as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm looking at, I've got a couple of toolbars here. These are free toolbars if you just search on whatever extension that you're using. If it's like if you've got a Chrome extensions, or if you're looking at a Firefox, look at the add-ons. So I'm just going to click on this. This is the Moz toolbar. So I'm just going to double click on that, and this will tell me the authority, and this will tell me what these inner pages have. Okay, so you can see it's showing the page authority of 1 on all of these. But I would look at this, and you're going to find some domains that have more authority on the actual inner page than what they do on the root URL. Like I had a domain that I had bought. It was a PR5 was the home page, but one of the inner pages, which got linked to more than the home page, was a PR6. So the reason that I'm telling you guys that is because this is like reaching in your pocket and finding that you've got a $100 bill that you didn't know you had. Okay, it's the same thing, right? So if you are just looking at everything based on the home page, you're really missing out. So does that make sense to everyone? Cool. Thank you. Yeah. So let me just see if we can pull up this site in. I think I've got something different installed on Firefox. Let me just try to pull this up real quick. All right. I thought I had a different extension on here that showed the page rank of some of these inner pages. But you're going to find, like I said, if you go through this long enough, you're going to find some of them that have got inner pages that have got page rank. And what you can do is those are additional pages that you can actually rebuild, and we'll talk more about that when we talk about rebuilding the sites. But those are other pages that you can rebuild to get even more link juice instead of just having them redirected all to the home page. These are stuff. This is pages that you can rebuild very easily, and just get more juice out of your domain. Okay, so let me go back here to the presentation here. All right, so we talked about finding, making sure that, we're double checking to make sure that the sites are indexed. We talked about the backlink profile. What I'm looking for, I'm really looking for sites that I just can't go out and build links on my own. Okay, you guys have seen, a lot of softwares out there that will go out and build links to, thousands of sites. That's not what we're looking for. We're looking for those that have got the good quality stuff if we're going to be spending money and investing money in them. So let's go back here to Register Compass, and we're going to sort this again. This time we're going to filter out anything PR2 and above, and we'll just look at this and see how many domains we actually have the opportunity of looking at this point that's expiring in the last 24 hours. So I like to do the last 24 hours because that tends to be where the action really starts taking place on some of the domains. That's when people will start really bidding, is it really in the last hour to 2 hours. So I like to have it on my radar every day, just kind of keep an eye out what's going on, what's coming down the pipe, and what I should be looking at. So you'll see this gives us a lot more domains to actually pick from and to look at. And you'll see, like right here, like if you look at this one, this domain, the bid price is only $12, okay? groversusa.com, okay? And it's showing that it's a PR3, and if we scroll over, Okay, you'll see that the Moz score is 26, and I know, we said primarily we're looking at, the Majestic Trust Flow score, but these are just gauges, right? These are just gauges that's going to help us to make a more educated decision on what we're buying. Okay, so if I go over here, let's just look and see what the trust flow is. Trust flow is 22. Okay, so if we go here, and what I like to, on trust flow, like I just like to sort by that, like I was saying before. Let's go into Ahrefs and let's look and see what the backlinks look like on this particular site. And again, the bid price on this one expires in less than a day, and it's only $12. So you're going to be able to find domains if you just go in and you just do the research and do the digging. All right, so this one's got 5,000 links, and right off the bat, let's look at the anchors. And here's what I was talking about. See this, guys? Buy Viagra, cheaper than Cialis. This is what I'm staying away from. Okay? So even though the metrics may look good, that's what I'm going to stay away from. What is my trust flow benchmark? I like to get anything, try to shoot for anything above a trust flow of 10. Okay, so now we've looked at the backlink profile, and you guys should have a basic understanding of what we're looking at. We're looking for good quality, highly authoritative domains that's linking to these. What we want to look at too is we just want to look and see what the site was beforehand. Okay, was the site a private blog network? Okay, and you can tell the look. You can tell how a private blog network looks. If it's a PBN, I'm staying away from it. Okay, that's just my rule of thumb. So let's just look at this. If we go over here, you can look right here where it says archives, and you'll see this says 162. If I just click on this, and forgive me if anything inappropriate comes up, I have no control over this site, so I have no clue. If we click on this, you'll see this is all the archives. It pulls up what the site looked like before it went to auction. Okay, so you'll see 2015. Let's just look at one of these. I'm going to pull this March 25th and see what this looks like. And you'll see this was a 302. This is a redirect to a different website. Okay, so I'm going to keep going back, and I just want to look and see what it was before the auction process. Okay, and that's still redirecting. Let me go back here to an older. Let's go to old date just to show you what this looks like. So let's see what this is. So you'll see this right here. Obviously, if you see something like this, this is a real legitimate site. Okay, this is not a PBN. This is not a pharmaceutical spam site or anything like that. This is a real site. So I just want to look and see what it was beforehand. I don't want anything, pornography, gambling, and I don't want a PBN. Does that make sense to everyone? How can you tell if it's a PBN? Gideon, most people just stick a basic type theme. They have everything under the sun posted on it from, you can just tell. You can just tell by the way it looks like. Oh, this is a private blog network. Usually the content is garbage. You'll see a lot of Chinese PBNs that are coming down the pipe in these auctions. You'll just be able to tell. Over time, it will be something that you'll be able to see very easily, and you'll spot it a mile away. Jerry asked, why not the PBN? I would rather stay away from that. That's just me. Some people will go out and buy them, but I'm just telling you what works for me. I don't want anything that could come back to bite me in the future. If I'm investing, some of these I invest, $200, $300, $400, $500 or even more for a domain. So I want to be sure, I want to base it on risk levels too. So if it's something I can pick up for 12 to 20 bucks, then I might be willing to, say, oh, well, it was an old PBN, that's okay. I might be willing to do that. But if it's something I'm spending several $100s on or even thousands of dollars on, then I'm going to stay away from it. So again, it's all about risk and reward in those situations. Does that make sense? Cool. So yeah, anybody can go to archive.org and pull up any site and look and see what the site was before you picked it up. This part is not a subscription service. I'll send you guys a link to this, and it will just give you screenshots of what everything looks like. And I'll tell you how I'm using this in the rebuilding stages as well here in just a bit. Old PBNs is just because some people aren't setting their PBNs up right, and they're leaving these massive footprints that that are going to get hammered eventually. And so for me, I just would rather stay away from them if I'm spending any amount of money on them at all. Sorry about that, Alan. I don't know about that. So thanks, Julian. Appreciate it. Types of domains. Okay, Dori touched on this a little bit ago. You've got basically what we're looking at. And when we're looking at the auctions, we're looking at picking up the age, right? We're looking at the age domains. We're trying to find those that are older that we can pick up in the auction process, and then that age will transfer over to us. Now, there's a process as well where you can just go out and look at just expired domains. And what I tend to do, there's several different of these services that are out there, and I don't know if Dori, if you've got any that you recommend, or maybe you have one that I don't know about, but they basically will go out there and they will scrape Wikipedia, they'll scrape, let's say Forbes, for example.
Yes, perfect.links.com is Eric Lancer's service that does that, and it's really, really good, and that's exactly what he does. So that I'm going to put that URL in, and it's perfect.links.com, or the perfect link. Let me go find it first, and I'll put it in the URL. I'll put it in the chat box.
Cool. So basically the idea behind that is you're just scraping for all these authority sites, all these authority channels. You're scraping them. Well, when you've got like a Wikipedia situation where the URL, there's so many URLs or so many pages, there's going to be some that have broken links. Okay, so the whole idea is to scrape all these URLs, find the ones that have broken links, and then you can go back and register them. In this instance, if you're going about it this route, it's okay if the site is de-indexed. The reason is because these sites typically have just been offline for so long that Google just de-indexes them. Okay, so what you can do though is these sites that already have this existing, they still have these links that's in place. They're just going nowhere. There's still, there's just no site there. You can actually revive them, bring them back to life, and typically within 24 to 48 hours, that site will be re-indexed after you just done a basic WordPress installation with some new content on it. So these are the two avenues and the two areas that I'm using.
Yeah, those are the two that in fact, I don't know, they are the two areas, and people are doing really, really well with both, actually. So Dan asks, what's the negative to going after expired versus auction? I don't know if there is a negative. The ones that have been expired a long time, you have to get them re-indexed, but that usually isn't a problem. You just want to check, make sure they have incoming links. They do lose their age, and like if you do buy a domain in the GoDaddy auctions, it retains the who is age. Now, SEOs can argue about age, and if Google looks at the WHOIS database for age, or if they look at archive.org for age, and nobody really knows for sure. But that's why I like GoDaddy, because the age in the WHOIS does not change, and so you can get a domain that still says that it was registered in 1999 or something like that. Hope that answers that. What if I think a topic is relevant but Google does not? How do I judge that? Now, what a machine thinks. Derek, I'm going to let you take that question.
Cool. One of the things that I do, I said we were going to talk about this here in just a moment. We'll go ahead, because everybody's asking about this. Like, okay, how do we find relevant stuff, right? Everybody's talking about relevancy and how important relevancy is. Well, I don't always, in all reality, create stuff that's just totally relevant. I mean, I'll just be straight up with you. Some of the stuff that I buy, I retheme for completely different things, and I know you probably do the same thing, Dori.
But yes, I do. I don't. Best practice, I tell people, yes, find them in the same niche, but I don't care really. I've seen them. I do them in all kinds of different ways. So, but yeah, if you're only going to create one, you only have one money site out there, then yeah, the best practice would be, if you're having a dog training site, go look for dog sites or animal sites. But typically, it doesn't matter, not yet anyway.
Well, I'm going to show you guys this. This is kind of a cool little way of being able to do this real quick. So you've got basically three different rebuilding strategies. There's the easiest, but it's the riskiest, which is where you create a general top blog and you just post everything under the sun. So you might have, buying blue shoes, hemorrhoid cream, and how to get bigger muscles, and how to you've got everything under the sun on the same blog, right? That's the easiest way to do it, where you're just creating blogs. It's almost like a churn and burn type idea, where you're just creating the blog. You're not putting any real effort into it. You're just slapping a free theme on it, and you're just running with it.
And that's what you're going to find in a public blog network, because that's what's going to happen. Everybody's posting to it. The theme doesn't match. Now, that will get you into a little bit of trouble, and I think it was Bill Ward earlier who said PBN to money site is a no-no. And if you're posting from a public blog network, then yes, it is a no-no. We've been teaching people in POE to please don't do that, create your own and to link to it, which is what we're going through tonight. But public blog networks still do really, really well with ranking YouTube videos, Amazon pages, and in any of the other authority sites, so it does have its place. So I just wanted to interject that. It is the easiest, and yes, it is the riskiest. So
if you're going to do that, you just got to realize that you're just going to have to you're just going to be constantly going uphill. You're just going to constantly be, fighting against Google kind of thing. You're going to lose some, but you understand that that's a possibility, right? It's not going to be like the link police is going to come out and arrest you or something. It's going to be like you may lose a few sites along the way, but you understand that going into it, because you're going easy route, but it's the riskiest too. Okay, so the second way, which is where we actually retheme the site, even though the site may not be anything relevant to what it was beforehand, we retheme it to our niche. Okay, so in these cases, what we're doing is we're using custom graphics. We link out often to other websites like Wikipedia and Forbes, news articles, things like that. We randomize everything with our videos, with our images. We try to make it look like a legitimate site. You're not going to have a site that just goes out and just links to the same property all the time, or the same group of properties all the time. So you want to make it look like like a legitimate property. Even if you can get it to where you've got like its own Facebook fan page or Twitter profile, and it's automatically posting to that, that's even going to give you more clout. So that way, if you actually get a manual review, they're gonna come to it and they're gonna be like, oh, this looks like a legitimate site, okay, and they're just gonna move on to the next site, right? So that's kind of the whole idea behind that. I've rethemed sites for years, and I'll tell you, I still retheme stuff to this day, and it works extremely well. It's extremely effective. Some people are like, well, how can you find these domains that are in your particular niches or your markets? And I'm like, I'm not looking just for that. I don't really care. I'll retheme them all day long. So one of the plug-in, and for those of you guys that are a part of the Page One engine, you got a plugin that was a custom plugin that I did called Rebuild Age Domains. And what it does, it will allow you to rebuild the URL. So if you go out and you find, like in this case that we were looking at earlier, when we were looking at this site, you had 17 URLs. What you can do is you can plug those URLs into the plugin, and it will actually rebuild all those URLs with that current structure. So like it would create like empowerme2be.org/grow. Okay, so that's I think that's in your members area in one of the bonus sections. If you just check out those links, I believe that's where that's at. Now this is the area right here, a rebuild using the archives. This is probably the safest way. And what you can do is you can create relevancy where there is none. Okay, so basically the whole idea is you're rebuilding the site, you're using the content from archive.org. So if you went back here and you looked up the archives, you would just basically just pull up whatever the site was beforehand. So let's just use a couple of examples here. So let's just say that we are a real estate, we found a real estate site, and we're linking to a cosmetic surgeon locally. We're trying to rank them for, different types of cosmetic surgery terms. Okay, so will everybody agree on the call that there's no relation at all to real estate and cosmetic surgery? Would everybody agree to that?
Yep, everybody's agreeing.
Okay, so what if we created some content that was about how real estate agents that had cosmetic surgery, like say breast enhancements, made more money? Now, would that make those two topics relevant at that point? So this is how we're doing this, right? We're able to create two topics that are completely unrelated, and we're basically bringing them together just based on our content. So, give you another example. Now, this was a site. This was actually a site that I had. It was a university website, and I was linking to an e-cig site. Now, these are two completely. There's anything further from those, right? So what we did was we created a snippet of content that talked about smoking on campus, okay? And then we just linked out from that portion. So we're basically taking two unrelated topics and we're merging them together based on our content. Does that make sense? Yeah, Alan, I mean, like that's all you're looking for. That's all you can do. You're just creating relevancy where there is none, really. And I've got my own opinions about that. Like, Google, you got to look at it. Google is a bot. Google's a bot. So, people are going to argue about that. Like that's a never-ending argument about the relevancy and all that stuff. But this is how I'm doing, and this is how it's actually working for me. It's doing extremely well. I've not had any problems at all. Cool. You got anything to add to that, Dori, at all, or?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was answering some other questions.
Oh, that's cool. So we skipped over the registration part because everybody was kind of wanting to know, like, okay, what do we do if we can't find anything relevant? This is how you do it. You go out, you don't worry about it. You either retheme it or you pull it from the archives, and then you make the content relevant to each other. Now, before you get to that, you've got to take care of some issues. You've got to take care of the registration data, right? This is a must. This is not something that you can just wing it on, right? So what we're doing is we're faking the information. We're using a site called Fake Name Generator. If you guys are not familiar with that, it's a free service, fakenamegenerator.com, and I'll go to this right here. And we're basically just generating a random name, a random address. Well, actually, the address is in the phone number that they give us is all tied to the same city. Okay. So we just come in here, we're just going to click generate, and this is going to give us a Larry Lopez, Salt Lake City, Utah, okay? So, and it's given us a Salt Lake City phone number. So what we're doing is this is the contact data and the registration data that I'm using on all the sites. So once we go into GoDaddy, if we're using like GoDaddy, that's what I'm using for the most part, you're not able to change data immediately. You know, it's going to set in your account before the domain gets released to you. As soon as the domain gets released to you, what you're going to do is you're going to go into your GoDaddy account and you're going to change all this information to Mr. In this case, Larry Lopez from Salt Lake City, Utah. Okay, so this is where we're getting the information. We're faking the information. Okay. Now, one thing I'll do too is I'll set up we'll set up custom name servers, and I'm sure you guys have already been showed how to do that. Is it bad if you wait a few weeks to change the registration information? I always like to change it as soon as I possibly can. You're going to have about a week period there before it gets released to your account. So as soon as it's released, as soon as possible, go in and just go in and change it and get a site back up as soon as possible. Because the longer that you wait, the longer that the site's down, the greater the chance is that you're going to see that the site may get de-indexed or something like that. So you want to be sure to rebuild as soon as you possibly can. Nathan, this fake name generator will also give you an email. The reason why I don't use this email is because I feel like there's only like a certain number of emails, like there's only a certain number of domains that they're actually using, and I just feel like that could be a red flag in the future. You know, so you've got this email address. You can say click here to activate it, and that way GoDaddy will send you they're going to send you a confirmation where you have to click it. So you can use that, but I don't recommend it. I'm buying bulk accounts, Yahoo, Hotmail, and we're mixing them all together. We're also using forwarders. So once we get the cPanel, once we get it set up on our hosting, we're taking and going into the cPanel and setting up a forwarder, or we're setting up an email address, and we're making it look as legitimate as humanly possible. Any questions about that? Okay, so Paul, this is a good question. Why do you register the site with a fake name? Okay, so if we go back to this right here, what we're trying to do is we want it to appear in Google that it's all these different websites that's linking to our money site. Okay, we don't want it to appear that it's all owned by the same person trying to manipulate rankings. We want them to all appear completely unique. So that means we're going to need different names. We're going to need them on different hosting, which I know Dori will talk about that here in a minute. Different hosting, multiple C-class IPs, different themes, different looks, different content. We want it all to be completely different. We want it to look all independent of each other. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and someone's asking, what's the benefit of a fake name versus private registration? And I'll go ahead and answer that. You just don't want all your sites to be privately registered. That would throw up a red flag to Google. It's the only sites that were linking into you or into something where they were all privately registered. But of course, you can privately register. I don't know, probably up to 30% now, I think, because people are using that a lot. What do you think about that, Derek?
It's interesting, and I've got my own thoughts on this. I can't prove it or anything, but I had 5 sites de-indexed 6 months ago.
Private sites?
5 independent sites in just completely different niches. 5 sites, 5 PBN sites that were de-indexed, and I couldn't figure it out because the only connection to all 5 of them was that they were all privately registered. So I just got my own thoughts on it. Like I'm not saying that was, I'm not saying that's what it was, but I know there's like a lot of like underground rumblings that Google just doesn't like the private registration stuff, and I believe that they've got access to that data anyway. So I always like to fake it. That's just me though.
That's also me too. I fake it as well. So I think most of us do.
Uh, okay, so is there any kind of validation of ownership done that can prove registered name info to be fake and hurt you in the future? Uh, Basically, all that's going to happen is when you fake this information and you do the forwarding, you got they will ask you for a new email address or a forwarding email address. Once you do that, you just got to be sure that you click to register that particular email. If you don't, then it's not going to allow you to change the hosting over. It's not going to allow you to do a lot of other things. So until you get the email, it's going to allow you to switch anything over.
Yeah, the governing body registration, I can. You know, sometimes they do searches. Well, they'll send you an email if you don't respond to it. They will make your registrar, you know, park your domain until you answer that email. We get a lot of those type of things. But then once you get the email straight, you're good to go again.
Why is he showing the PBN site going to the money site? I thought we should avoid that, maybe point it to a YouTube or something.
Now, I have been telling people in POE not to use the POE network to go straight to their money site because it's a public network. What we're showing you right now is how to build a private network. In that case, you're not going to have, you know, 100 other people linking from that site to other sites. So it's much more controllable, and it is the safest way to do it directly to your money site. Derek, you may want to even add to that.
Basically, what you're trying to do is the old schoolers term is like link laundering, right? Where you're trying, where you're taking links that may be like kind of questionable, and you're trying to make them clean, right? So, you know, if you're using like automated tools and things like that, you know, look at these private blog network sites as a buffer, is what you're looking at. So this is a buffer to somewhat protect your money site. You're not just hammering with everything under the sun. You're literally, this is helping to protect it. Does that make sense? Did I say that right, Dori?
Yes, you did. And yes, that was the answer to another question.
Explain again how to handle the email to get notifications. A couple of different ways, Paul. You can buy bulk accounts. I think the website's buybulkaccount.com. I think is the URL where you can buy, you know, a lot of Yahoo accounts, or they're not that much at all, and you can go that route, or you can set up a forwarder on your host. So it'll be like admin@yourdomain.com. and forward it to a catch-all type account. Shouldn't we send the PBNs to a 301 age domain in between? No, I mean I wouldn't think so, Bill.
That is an interesting concept, though, and you know, I teach about doing a 301 redirect to your money site. You know, buy an age domain and do that just to boost some authority, you know, and stuff. But I don't know anybody who's linking directly like a whole set of PBNs to a 301 age domain and then doing the 301 redirect. And for everybody who doesn't know what a 301 redirect is, it's just a redirect. It's just saying to Google, hey, all this stuff goes to this site. You know, it's just redirecting. And that's actually a pretty cool concept. I've not done it. I don't know, Derek, it sounds like you haven't done it, but I don't see why it wouldn't work. I want to think a little bit more about that question. That was good. That was an advanced question, just FYI to all the beginners on the call.
Bill, I think that's a good thing to test.
Yeah, I would absolutely test that.
Good stuff. So let's get right here to so we faked the registration data, right? And we've talked about rebuilding strategies. Let's talk a little bit about hosting. And the main thing that you want to do, again, you don't want these all coming from the same C class IP, all from the same host. You want them mixed up. Now I'm gonna talk about what I've used to build my first PBN, and been able to do it really, really inexpensively. And then there's a couple other ways that are just a disaster when it comes to admin areas. So what I use is a service called Host9. And the reason why I use Host9, and you can see I've got 196 accounts on this particular one, 196 domains on this particular account. But the reason why I use Host9 is because one of their packages, you can actually pick server location. So when you set up your domain, you can set it up like U.S. Central, UK in the UK, U.S. West, U.S. East, Asia, or Australia. Now, every time you do that, so like let's say this first batch of PBNs that we go in and we create, the first one we're going to put it on U.S. Central. Okay, the second one we're going to then put it on the UK. The next one we're going to put it on U.S. West. The next one we're going to put it on U.S. East. The next one we're going to put it on Singapore. The next one we'll put it on the Australia. For each one of those, we're getting a different IP address. Okay, so you look at here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different server locations that we're going to be getting a different IP address on. Okay, so that's how I set my first one up, is by just using this particular service. I think it's like less than $20 a month, and you can host quite a few of them. And what I'll do is once I set up these 6, I'll give it a few days and wait, because what happens is like this U.S. Central server, right? This is a shared hosting account. So what's happening is once you fill the server up, they're going to transfer over to another. They're going to issue a new IP address. So what we do is we'll list these 6 out, right, and then we'll start over after a few days. So that way we're more inclined to get a different. So that's one way. Okay, the next way is going out and buying like all kinds of little cheap dollar hosting type packages and just getting multiple hosts all over the board. And what you're doing is you're just creating really a host admin nightmare. And something else too is like they often crash. I don't know, I had a server just this past week, well actually it was last month, that crashed, but they rebuilt me this past week, and their domain's not even to going to a GoDaddy page where the domain is expired. So it's like one of these little cheap hosting packages that only had like 1 or 2 sites on there. But what I like to do is I use the Host9, and I stay away from SEO hosts. So I know Dori's got a service called Cloak Hosting. You want to talk about?
Yeah, let me talk about it. It's Ben Roy's Cloak Hosting, and what that did and why he created that was it was taking all those little mom and pop, hosting and bringing them under one dashboard, a little bit like Host9, but on a whole different level. So you're never, you don't have to wait a day or so or 3 days to try to make it work. You can put in 50 sites all at one time, and you know that you're going to get on different IPs, different servers, and different parts of the world. So he goes out and he gets accounts at all the, every hosting that you can possibly think of that's available, and so you have all that powered and that organization and administration under one dashboard. That's what the crazy power of Cloak Hosting is. I think it's actually, I wouldn't use, well, that's what I use anyway.
Does Google get suspicious about Cloak Hosting strategy? Can they figure it out? Willis, that's what we're trying to prevent by doing all these things that we're doing, from faking the registration data, custom name servers if we possibly can, different IP addresses, retheming the sites, having custom stuff, custom graphics, making it look legit, right?
Yeah, that's on the domain level. There's nothing in the hosting level that is going to leave a footprint, because it's what is happening is he's actually hosting it. It looks like it's being hosted on that other site. You just get to manage it from one dashboard. So it's taken all the legwork. Because back in the old days, there wasn't anything like this, or even Host9, which gets close to that, where you could get one host and manage all these accounts. I mean, it was an administration nightmare. And yeah, little sites go, little hosts go down, and you're like, what happened here? What? And looking all over the place, trying to make sure all those bills are paid. It's crazy when you get into more than even 3 hosts. So that's what the point of that is. And yeah, it's on the domain level, and why you do the registration and all that to not leave the footprint. That is what Derek was talking about.
Cool. Would you consider working on your new sites via a proxy to further avoid a footprint? I don't do that at all. So I don't. So for some reason, some people believe that that you need to like have a proxy service or something like that to create a site and all that. I don't do any of that. So there's really no need in it. What is the best way to change the registration out of your name? The sites are all private reg. Paul, just doing like what we were saying, using the fake name generator, just one at a time. And you can change the contact details that's underneath the private registration too. So if you want to leave them private reg and change the underlying contact details, you could do that as well. When you change the registration in GoDaddy, you keep the admin as yourself since the domain is in your account. They all are on the same account, or I actually have multiple accounts, but you're gonna have them all on the same account, but you're just gonna change the admin, the registration. You're gonna change all the contact details.
Yeah, GoDaddy actually has something that's called, you can create profiles. So each profile can be different, but so it's. For me, we've narrowed it down. I do have multiple accounts, but I have thousands of domains. But if I had only 100 domains or even less, I would have one account, and the billing information is always the same. And that might be what you're referring to, but all the the admin, all the contact information is different. It's not your name. That was with Devin.
Yeah, that's a big no-no, guys.
Yeah.
So what would you think, guys, would be like the number one hold up when you're building your PBN? What is it that really stops most people, like as a whole? What do you feel like that is? Let me know in the chat box if you got any ideas. Fear, okay.
Content's coming up a lot of times.
Yep. Expensive.
Going through this whole process. Content.
So what I wanted to show you guys, like you got the content, like we showed you a way to get a content as far as like rebuilding the sites, and I don't know that Dori does that at all, but that's what I do. I fake the information, then we send it over, and I'm outsourcing a lot of this stuff too. So the way it works is I've got one person that will change the contact details. We send it over to someone from the Philippines, and they're rebuilding the site from the Wayback Machine, or they're retheming it, one or the other. And so then at that point, the site's ready to go. All right, so that's how we're doing it. Now, if you're just starting out, those are things that it's not going to take you a long time. If you start getting into where you've got hundreds of domains, then it's really gonna be a lot of work, right? But the thing is, if you just got a few domains, if you're just getting started, this is stuff that I did on my own when I first got started, and I would spend all my time just getting these sites built and up and running. Now, what I was going to say was the number one thing that really kind of held people back was the fear of not knowing whether they're going to rank or not, and like really basing everything on whether they rank. If you're just solely relying on if you rank to make money with your PBN, then that can be kind of a scary thing. So we want to talk about a little bit of a few things that you can do to profit whether you rank or not. So most solely rely on rankings. And so what you can do is you can set up some easy ways to create quick cash from just selling links. So let's say you go out and you buy, you can buy some PR sites, or you buy some sites with good trust flow. What you can do is you can turn around and start selling some links off of those sites to be able to recoup your cost to where you can go back in and just grow your network more and more and more. If you're getting good quality sites, selling a few links here and there is not going to kill your domain. Wouldn't you agree with that, Dori?
Yes, I would agree with that.
So yeah, so you've got a way of getting the content, you've got a way of getting them back up, and now you've got a way of profiting them from them, whether or not you rank or not. So really, there's nothing stopping you. So we give you 3 sources of being able to sell links, and being able to sell links rather quickly. So you've got Black Hat World. There's a forum strictly devoted to just selling links. There's Wicked Fire, same thing. You got a forum strictly devoted to just selling links. You've got Warrior Forum, strictly devoted to just selling links. So how many of you guys feel like you could do that? If you could go in and you could look and see what other people were charging for some, and you could go in and you could sell some links as well, just to recoup some of your costs that you're investing in the domains, and then dumping that money back into your network and just continuously growing it over and over and over again. Cool.
And I think we might set up something in the members area, POE, where people can do, resell their links too. We've been talking about that, so that's an option as well. Go out and find out what people are buying them for, and then offer them on our platform. So that would be totally cool. So
cool. So one last thing I want to touch on real quick, and then we can take like an overall questions of just everything that we talked about, is hiding your PBN. Okay, so one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to like leave your network open for everybody and their brother to come out and look at like Moz, Open Site Explorer, I guess that's the same thing, but Open Site Ahrefs, or some link reporting tool. You don't want them to be able to go out and just find everything that you've got. Okay, you want to leave them kind of where they're scratching their head. So like where we just pulled up Ahrefs and we just looked at these sites, like this one right here, and we found all these domains that was linking to it, and all these anchor texts. When you get out there and when you start building stuff and you start ranking on the first page of Google, then what you don't want to have happen is your competitors to be able to spy and see exactly what it is. So there's a few of these that are out there. The free one is called a link privacy plugin, and basically what this will do is this will block those bots. There's another one called SpyNot, and then there's another one called Spider Spanker. Some of you guys are probably familiar with that one. That's probably the most popular one. But these are just some ways that you can help safeguard your network to keep it from getting reported to some of these link reporting agencies, so you can kind of keep your network in the private, and that way you're not exposing yourself to everybody, including your competitors.
Yeah, I mean, your competitors won't have an idea of where your links are coming from, and they'll go, how are they doing that? How are they ranking with only 2 links coming in, or something like that? I know when I see a ranking site and it doesn't have any links showing, I'm like, oh, okay, they're using Spider Spanker or the link privacy plugin. So yeah, you absolutely want to use that.
James says, what were those names again? Those were Spider Spanker is one of them. There's another one called SpyNot, and then the free one, I believe it's still free. It's a link privacy plugin. And no, they will not block Googlebot. They'll just block the bots that are the reporting bots, like Ahrefs, Open Site Explorer, that type of stuff.
And what were the 3 where they can look for selling links? It was Black Hat World, Black Hat
World, Wicked Fire, and Warrior Forum.
Wicked Fire. I'm typing it into the chat room for everybody.
And I'll send you a copy of this My Map, Dori, so you can plug it in the members area too.
Awesome. links in the sidebar or content. You know, there was a day I would have said only do it in content, but when I do my research, I see links all over the place. I see them in the footer too, which I never would have thought would rank a site anymore. In fact, I think GoDaddy still ranks for hosting because they, on all their free sites, they have footer links that say GoDaddy hosting. Crazy. So either or, but you know, if you know, here's a trick. If you're doing a post on a blog, and we call this I forget, blog roll bonanza or something like that. If you create a post on your blog and then create a sidebar link it to that post that's in your site, because then you're getting a whole site-wide link to that one page that's still an internal page, and then it links out to your site. So that's cool too. So you have a contextual. So that would take 2 links in that way. But I know you can do them, but the trend, you know, doing them in the content has been better. Wouldn't you agree, Derek?
Yes, and I mean the thing is, like I'm like you. I've seen stuff with footer. I've even seen stuff in just the source code, just in not even actual link on the page, but just like in the header of the source code.
Oh, I know. I've seen some really neat JavaScript things that have been going on, hiding links and stuff. I'm like, whoa. So.
Yeah, keep in mind, guys, that Google is Google, like when you're trying to rank stuff and whatnot, it's a bot, you know, it's an algorithm. It's not like, you know, don't give it more credit than it deserves. You know what I mean? Don't be afraid to build links. Don't be afraid to really step out of, you know, step out and really start, you know, pushing it. You know. Any questions at all?
Okay, can we consider a PBN just as another money site, and so we don't have to use a fake name or a new host? Now, Julian, that would defeat the purpose of of the PBN. You know, typically Google will let you link a couple times. You know, lets you own a couple sites and link to the, you know, all linked together, like in a mini net or a mini.
Some of these age domains, and they've got so much authority and so much power, and you start will outrank the money site.
I know, and I hate it when they do that, but sometimes they do that.
You know, it's a great thing because then you can take multiple. That's a situation where though you can take multiple spots.
Yeah, that is true. And sometimes though, when I was doing some site reputation management for people, but they wouldn't understand why, you know, a blog post using, you know, why one of my sites would be outranking theirs, and they'd get really frustrated. But for launch jacking, that is the bomb. That is totally what you want to do. Has Google? Here's a question from Bill Ward. Has Google abandoned visual inspection of sites? You know what? I'm not sure. I don't think that they have. I don't think that they have the force that they used to, because you don't hear about those mass de-indexing like you used to. I think it's more algorithmic. That's my opinion. What do you think, Derek?
I agree. I agree totally. Okay. In Cuts though on vacation or something, or like an extended vacation or something?
Matt Cutts?
Yeah.
Yeah, he left about a year ago for a month, and he hasn't been back. And for those who are new, Matt Cutts was the Google guy that was in charge of searching and destroying all of our sites. We're glad that he's not around anymore. Okay, look at him.
How do you create links as a comment in a blog HTML code? Are you meaning like just like your own PBN, like using the blog, the comments section to link out? Is that what you're referring to, or?
Probably, and you know, when you leave a comment, the way you leave a link in it is usually like where your name is, and then you put your website. So instead of you putting your name, you put the keyword. That's how people normally do it, and that's really kind of spammy. So we're not talking about comment linking.
Do you create multiple tiers and social signals with something like SendWire? I do on a couple of on some of my properties. I will use a RSS function in Hootsuite, where it will automatically, like once I make a post, it'll shoot it like a Facebook fan page like, or a Facebook like, or a tweet, something along those lines. And yeah, you can do that all day long.
And that would be your best practice, you know. And a lot of us, there are best practices to everything, and of course, we always want to take shortcuts because best practices take a long time. But the answer would be definitely best practice would be making a whole brand around each domain. But who's going to do that? Not barely anybody. Nobody that I know that does that. But they sometimes will create different social accounts for their PBNs. Let's see other questions. How can you tell if your PBN is working, providing SEO juice, etc.? Hate to go through all the work for limited results. Kind of asking if there is a guarantee that PBNs work. Well, Nathan, there's no guarantee on anything in life, and all I can say is from my experience is that they still work. If you point them to the site that you want to rank with the URL, you know, maybe we could go into anchor text over optimization. You know, my best practice blank general answer is, you know, 90% URL, 10% keywords type of thing. Use keyword phrases. Use your money keyword in a phrase instead of just saying olive oil, olive oil, olive oil. You know, California olive oil in Amador County would be better. So yeah, there's no guarantees. You just have to do it and know that people have gone before you and have had excellent results with it.
And I would say, like, the main thing is test stuff too. Like, don't be scared to test. Like, that's the one thing I see a lot of people is that they're just afraid to do anything. It's like, you don't be that person. You know, like you're given a good guide. You're given a good blueprint, if you will, to be able to go out and do what you need to do. So now it's just a matter of just going out and monitoring your results, testing it, tweaking it, and making it work for you. Because I mean, literally, this stuff does work. It's just a matter of just getting out there and doing it. And like I said before, you're given these techniques where you can use content, like from the art. Like, a lot of people worry about the content. Pull if anything, just do the content from archive.org, you know, and pull and rebuild the sites the way that they used to be. That's one of the simplest ways that you can do it, and it's actually probably one of the safer ways too, because you're rebuilding it the way that it was before you picked it up. And you can keep the link juice that's going on, and you can also use that same site to sell links to multiple pages of your site. So really, it's hard to lose when you're putting yourself in a no-lose situation of, you know, you're buying these as assets and look at them like that they are. Don't just rely on it just strictly just for a ranking. If you need to, like, sell some links to generate some quick cash, then by all means do that. Then dump the money back into your network and just keep growing it from there.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. And somebody says, it's the same question type of how do you measure the potential impact for your PBN? That's really hard to say because, you know, your money site's going to be different. If your money site is not getting, keeping people on it, your bounce rate's bad and all the other things that we've talked about over the last couple of weeks, then it doesn't matter how many links you send to it. So you got to make sure the site that you're pointing to is good, and what keyword you're trying to rank for. Typically, I will say Google knows what your page is about. Google knows what your site is about. You don't have to hit them over the head with keywords, and that will get you over optimized. So you also have to link to those sites properly. Now, you guys who are in Page One Engine, you can test this type of practice with the Public Blog Network. Now, it's not as safe as the, creating your own because it is public, but you can certainly, start shooting links to a YouTube video and see how that YouTube video starts ranking and test it out. And so you can, potentially measure an impact of a public blog network and go, wow, if I did this with 10 links, then I know I can, if I do it, get sites on my own, it's going to have the same or better results. That's my answer to that.
I agree. Like if you can use YouTube, like if you look at it, like YouTube is free, right? So like there's nothing stopping you from, say, by the end of this week, like set up a goal for yourself. Like set up a goal by the end of this week that you're just going to go out and you're just going to hammer YouTube, and you're just going to create a massive amount of YouTube videos. Like there's nothing stopping you from doing that. There's such a low barrier to entry with YouTube that there's no reason not to do that. You're not risking anything. Like I've ranked YouTube videos for a long time now, and it's really a part of what we're doing. But you can create so many videos just so quick, and they don't have to be anything special. I mean, just put stuff out there.
Yeah, what the great thing about YouTube too is, and ranking YouTube, is that for any keyword, Google's trying to rank different types of media. I was just explaining this to Meredith yesterday. They will rank videos, PDFs, audio files, slide files, and press releases. It seems like you always see at least one of those on most of your searches, unless they're a product search, and then of course you're going to see an Amazon page there. But Google does try to usually get some videos in there. So if you make a video, throw some links at it, and you follow our recipe on ranking videos, you're going to have really good success at even ranking for some competitive keywords, because Google always tries to have a video on the first page. So, definitely when you're starting out, start testing with, YouTube videos prior to you doing anything else. That would be the best way to start, I think, to get your chops down on that. And they people use YouTube videos to sell stuff, to get audience for social, and you can also link your YouTube video to your money site as well, and have people come in like that. And there's a lot of juice in that YouTube video. But we are coming up on an hour and a half now, and we actually usually only go an hour for the boot camps. And I want to thank you, Derek, from the bottom of my heart for coming on here and doing this. I've even learned some stuff. It's always great to have a different perspective, and that's why, in Page One Engine, we have multiple faculty members. It's just not one or two people teaching, and that's the strength in the village, because we all have different methods that work, and and when this is how we find out, what's working and what's not working. I also want to, put a little plug in for SEO Rockstars that's happening next week, where we, a lot of us get together, and it started out just as a mastermind. There's probably going to be about 40 people there. It's going to be incredibly intimate, which I just love. Pre-day for Page One Engine people, members, and they can come for free on that day. And we're going to, go through what you're doing, and looking at the kind of results you're getting, and we're going to put a panel up and, make suggestions and create a process map for you to leave. So if there's any possibility for you guys to get there, I would definitely do that, and that will be next week on September 30th. And then the official SEO Rockstars starts October 1st, and it goes through October 3rd. And the first day is a mastermind, which was incredible last year. And then the next 2 days we have speakers, and we're going to do some hot seats as well. And then on that Saturday night, I bus you out to my ranch, and we have a party. And I have a live band happening and lots of beer to drink. So that is out to everybody. And to get to that sales page is SEO rockstars.us. And for you people who are Page One Engine members, you get 50% off on that, of course. And that code you've been sent out, because we have some guests on here, so I'm not going to say the code out loud here. So, Derek, is there anything else you'd like to say? And I will plug, I'm going to plug that Derek has a system. It's called Rank Gold. It's a little bit different than POE and how to post to, PBNs. And I want you guys to go check it out because there's, all sorts of ways to skin a cat. And I just am really grateful that Derek has participated in this. He also has a bonus and some free stuff coming up that's going to be in Page One Engine, and I just want to spread the love and say it's all great. And thank you, Derek, really for pulling this together and being our champion on creating PBNs. So with that, is there anything else you would like to say?
Thanks for letting me be here. I really enjoy. I talk about this stuff all night long, as you probably know. So I really appreciate the opportunity.
Awesome. Okay. With that, I will end it, and hopefully I'll see most of you at the POE Day next week or at SEO Rockstars. Okay, this is Page One Engine, PBN Building, and Dori Friend out.